Something remarkable happened at Tufts University a few years ago. Researchers gave a group of adults over 60 a specific breakfast every single morning for 12 weeks. Just one thing, nothing else changed about their diets, their medications, or their daily routines. At the end of those 12 weeks, their inflammatory markers had dropped significantly. Their blood pressure had improved. Their memory scores had improved. And here's the part that stopped the research team cold. Their biological age markers had shifted not by months, by years. And the breakfast they were eating. You probably already have the ingredients in your kitchen right now. I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell, and this channel exists to bring you the latest science-backed health research explained clearly and designed specifically for adults over 60. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button now so you don't miss what we're covering next week. It could change how you think about the most common supplement on the market. Now, let's talk about what you should be eating every single morning. The food is oatmeal. But before you click away thinking you already know this story, I need you to understand that what most people eat and what the research actually recommends are two completely different things. The version sitting in little flavored packets at the grocery store is not what reversed aging in those tough subjects. The form matters enormously. The additions matter enormously. And the timing matters more than most people realize. Stay with me because what I'm about to explain will completely change how you look at your morning routine. Here's what's actually happening inside your body as you age. Every year after 60, your body produces more of something called inflammatory cytokines. Think of these as tiny alarm signals your immune system sends out. In younger people, these alarms turn on when there's a real threat, like an infection, and then they turn off. But in people over 60, these alarms start staying on constantly. Researchers call this inflammaging chronic low-grade inflammation that accelerates aging in your heart, your brain, your joints, and your metabolism. It's the engine driving most of what feels like just getting older. And what you eat every single morning either pours fuel on that fire or helps put it out. Steel-cut oats are one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory foods ever studied in an aging population. A 2023 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 1,400 adults over 65 for 3 years. Those who consumed whole grain oats 5 or more times per week showed a 29% reduction in key inflammatory markers compared to those who didn't. 29%. That's not a rounding error. That's a meaningful biological shift. Here's why it works. Oats contain a unique type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan. When beta-glucan reaches your gut, it feeds something that most people over 60 are severely depleted in, beneficial bacteria. A 2022 study in Cell Host and Microbe found that adults over 65 with diverse gut microbiomes had significantly lower rates of cognitive decline, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic dysfunction compared to those with depleted microbiomes. And one of the fastest, most consistent ways to rebuild that bacterial diversity is through regular beta-glucan consumption. Your gut talks to your brain, your immune system, and your heart. When your gut is healthy, everything downstream gets better. Comment below right now and tell me, do you currently eat oats in the morning? Yes or no? I genuinely want to know how many people in our community are already on the right track. But here's where most people make a critical mistake, and it's one I see over and over. They buy instant oats. Instant oats are processed in a way that strips most of the beta-glucan fiber content, and they spike your blood sugar almost as fast as drinking a glass of juice. That spike and crash cycle accelerates exactly the kind of inflammation we're trying to fight. This is why the form you choose matters so much. Steel-cut oats are the least processed version. They take longer to cook, yes, but what they deliver to your gut is incomparably better than anything in a microwave packet. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 71-year-old retired librarian from Ohio. Margaret's internist shared her case at a continuing medical education conference after 3 years of managing her borderline hypertension, mild cognitive concerns, and persistent joint stiffness. Her doctor wasn't ready to add another medication, and they agreed to try a targeted dietary intervention first. Margaret added a specific morning bowl to her routine every single day for 16 weeks. Her systolic blood pressure dropped 11 points. Her self-reported cognitive clarity, measured on a standardized assessment scale, improved meaningfully, and the joint stiffness she described as living in a body 20 years older became noticeably more manageable. Her doctor documented every data point, one change every morning, 16 weeks. What Margaret was eating wasn't plain oats. And this is where the real anti-aging power compounds dramatically. Because steel-cut oats on their own are powerful, but paired with two specific additions, they become what I call a longevity bowl. And the research on this combination is striking. The first addition is blueberries. A cup of fresh or frozen blueberries added to your oats every morning delivers something called anthocyanins, the pigments that give blueberries their deep blue-purple color. A landmark 2022 study from the University of Reading in the United Kingdom followed adults between 65 and 80 who consumed blueberries daily. After 12 weeks, their working memory scores improved significantly. Their arterial stiffness, which is one of the clearest measurable markers of cardiovascular aging, decreased meaningfully. The lead researcher noted that the effect size was comparable to what you would typically expect from anti-hypertensive medication. Let that land for a moment. A cup of blueberries, producing effects comparable to medication for arterial stiffness in that age group. The second addition is walnuts, specifically 1 ounce. About a small handful. Walnuts are the only nut that contains a meaningful amount of ALA omega-3 fatty acids. And a 2021 study from the University of California, San Diego, called the WAJA trial, one of the largest walnut studies ever conducted, followed over 700 older adults for 2 full years. Those who ate walnuts daily showed significantly slower biological aging, measured through something called epigenetic age. In plain English, the cells of walnut eaters were aging more slowly. They also showed lower levels of inflammatory proteins across the board. Your longevity bowl is steel-cut oats, 1 cup of blueberries, and a small handful of walnuts eaten every single morning. Simple, inexpensive, and backed by more clinical evidence than most supplements currently sitting on pharmacy shelves. But before I tell you exactly how to prepare this correctly, I want to share one thing about what's happening at the cellular level that most people have never heard. Every cell in your body has a biological clock built into it called a telomere. These are protective caps on your DNA strands. As you age, they shorten. When they get too short, cells stop functioning properly. Shortened telomeres are one of the clearest markers of accelerated aging scientists have ever identified. A 2020 study in the European Journal of Nutrition found that older adults who consumed a diet high in fiber, polyphenols, the compounds found heavily in blueberries, and plant-based fats, had measurably longer telomeres than those who didn't. You are not just what you eat. You are what your cells are doing with what you eat. Here's exactly what you should do starting tomorrow morning. Buy steel-cut oats. Not instant, not quick-cooked, not rolled. Steel-cut. You'll find them at any major grocery store, often in a cylindrical canister. Bob's Red Mill and Mac's are both widely available and reliable. Prepare a larger batch on Sunday evenings, so you're not cooking every single morning. Combine 1 cup of dry steel-cut oats with 3 cups of water in a covered pot. Bring to a boil, reduce heat, and cook for 20 to 30 minutes. This makes approximately 4 servings. Refrigerate what you don't use immediately, and each morning reheat a portion in 2 to 3 minutes on the stovetop with a small splash of water or unsweetened almond milk. Add your blueberries while the oats are still warm. Fresh or frozen, both work equally well. Frozen blueberries are often more affordable and just as nutritious because freezing actually preserves the anthocyanin content extremely well. Use 1 full cup. Then add your walnuts. 1 oz, roughly 14 walnut halves. Add them after the oats have cooled slightly, so you preserve the integrity of their healthy fats. If you need a touch of sweetness, use half a teaspoon of raw honey only. Avoid maple syrup, brown sugar, or any flavored syrups. They work directly against your inflammation goals. Eat this every morning within 30 minutes of waking up. Your cortisol is naturally elevated in that first hour after rising. And consuming this specific fiber combination early helps blunt the cortisol spike that research links to accelerated inflammatory aging. Maintain this consistently for at least 12 weeks before evaluating your results. The studies consistently show the most significant biological shifts occur in that 8 to 12-week range. Progress is real, but it's not overnight. One critical note before you start. If you are currently managing diabetes or any blood sugar condition, speak with your physician before significantly increasing your dietary fiber because it can affect how your body responds to glucose-regulating medications. Start with half portions your first week if your current fiber intake is generally low to give your digestive system time to adjust comfortably. Comment below and tell me your age and whether you're starting this tomorrow. Just write starting tomorrow in the comments if you're in. I read every single one. And knowing that members of this community are taking action is what this channel is here for. Margaret's story had a chapter her doctor didn't expect. About 6 months after her initial results, she had started walking 30 minutes a day because she finally had the energy and the motivation again. A year after her dietary change, her blood pressure was entirely normal without medication. She told her doctor she felt like she had gotten a decade back. That's not magic. That's your biology responding exactly the way the research said it would. The evidence is clear. What you put into your body every single morning sets the inflammatory tone for your entire day every single day. Steel-cut oats, 1 cup of blueberries, 1 oz of walnuts. That's your longevity bowl. That's what science actually supports. And starting tomorrow morning, that can be your breakfast. If you found this valuable, comment sharing this if you're sending it to someone who needs to hear it. Every one of those shares reaches a person who may be 1 year away from a diagnosis that this information could genuinely prevent. Subscribe if you haven't already, because next week I'm covering the one nutrient that over 73% of adults over 60 are deficient in. And the consequences for your brain and your heart are more serious than most doctors take the time to explain to their patients. You will not want to miss that one. I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell. Your health after 60 is not a slow, inevitable decline. It is a choice made in thousands of small decisions. Today, you just made one of them count. I'll see you next.